Alright, you guys. The algebra review for this unit is going to be on factoring. You might remember factoring as what we did with something called the big X in algebra. The big X helps us solve factoring by organizing our work. Imagine that you have ax squared plus bx plus c, and you want to factor it. What you want to do is take the a times the c and put it on top of the big X, and the b goes at the bottom. You're always trying to figure out what multiplies to give you the top and adds to give you the bottom. What multiplies to give you the top number and adds to give you the bottom number. Okay. I like to say that there is a clue in every factor problem given by the signs in your factoring. When you look at all of these signs, let's say you look at the second sign first. If it's a plus, then it tells me that the signs are going to be the same in my parentheses. So they might both be positives, they might both be negatives, they might, whatever they are, they're going to be the same. Then you look at the first sign, and it tells you what both signs are going to be. So in my first problem here, just with the letters, I know that my answer would both be positives, like that. And you would think about what multiplies to give you the front number and what adds to give you the back. So it'll probably be x times x, and then it'll give you a number here and a number here. If the back is a plus and the front one is a minus, let's say it looks like this, then it tells me that both the signs are going to be the same. They're just both going to be subtraction signs. Then the other option is that back sign is a minus. You look there and you notice it's a minus sign, so that tells me my signs are going to be different in the parentheses. Then you look ahead and that first sign tells you the larger is this. So whatever the larger number is, that's going to be a plus. So that might not make much sense, but hopefully just by introducing those steps, you can kind of see where we're going. I'm going to work the first 4 on this page, and then I want you to work the next 4 on your own. So let's take a look at number 1. The first thing I start by doing is labeling the A, B, and C. Remember, you're trying to figure out what multiplies to give you A times C. Notice there is no number in front of the B squared, so that's just going to be a 1. So 1 times 7 goes at the top, and B goes at the bottom, 8. I look at my signs to tell me what the signs are going to be in the end. I look at the back sign first. It's a positive, so that tells me that both my signs are going to be the same. Then you look ahead at that first sign, and it tells you plus, so they're both going to be positives. So whatever you're thinking about for your factors, they're both going to have to be positive numbers. So you're thinking what multiplies to give you 7 and adds to give you 8. So I like to make a factor tree. 7 can be, you can multiply to get 7 by 1 and 7, and then 7 and 1, and that's it. So I know these have to be my factors, and they're adding to give you 8, so you know you did it right. 1 and 7. It's a pretty simple one, but I just wanted to show you the steps that I'll take as I get the answers. So you would break it into your parentheses. B times B is the B squared in the front. Then I know that both of my signs are pluses. And then my two factors are 1 and 7. You can double check your work by foiling your answer. First times the first, B times B is B squared. B times 7 is 7B. B times 1 is 1B. And 1 times 7 is 7. From there, you want to add 7b plus 1b is 8b. And notice you get what you started with. That's how you can always check to make sure that you're factoring correctly. The answer, though, when you're asked to factor, is the parentheses. I just FOILed to double check my work to make sure I'm doing it right. Do you have to FOIL to double check your work? No, but I would recommend it. Problem number 2, you want to start by labeling the A, B, and C in your problem. Remember, A times C goes at the top, so that's 1 times 24 is 24. And B goes at the bottom, negative 4. You're thinking what multiplies to give you 24 and adds to give you a negative 4. Remember, your signs tell you the story. The second sign is plus, so that tells me my signs are going to be the same. I look back here and it tells me both signs are going to be that. Both signs are going to be negative. So you can go over here and say both of those are going to be negative. You can go on your factor tree and make a bunch of negative signs. All of those numbers have to be negative. So what multiplies to give you 24? Well, 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, 5, no, 6, repeats, back with 4. So I know I've got all of my factors because I'm repeating now with 6 times 4. Now you want to look through here and see what adds to give you negative 4. Hopefully you're seeing that nothing here adds to give you a negative 4. And so what we would do is we would say there's that it's not factorable. So you could leave it as x squared minus 4x plus 24. What I don't want you to say is that there's no solution, because there is a solution, it's just not factorable. What you would want to use is called the quadratic equation. And you guys learned that in Algebra 1. Am I expecting you to use the quadratic equation for this problem? No, I'm just expecting you to learn how to factor or remember how to factor. Show me you know how to factor. Okay, so from here, we're just going to leave it like that. Number 3, label your A, B, and C. Remember, you want what multiplies to give you A times C, which is 1 times 30 or 30. What adds to give you 11. Look at your signs. The back one is positive, so that tells me my signs are going to be the same. I'll look ahead at that first sign, it tells me they're both pluses. So you're going to look for 2 positive numbers that multiplies to give you 30 and adds to give you 11. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 4 doesn't go into 30, 5 times 6. So you're looking for which ones add to give you 11. Hopefully you see that 5 plus 6 adds to 11. So those are the factors that you're going to use. You break it into your parentheses. What times what gives you k squared? K times k. Then your 2 factors are plus 5 and a plus 6. Remember, you can always check your answer by foiling it back out. Now I know a lot of you guys are going to say, Ms. McKeever, I can do that in my head, and that's great, good for you, but you have to show work if you're going to get credit. Okay, so keep that in mind. I want to try one with a negative sign just because we haven't done one like that that actually worked out. So I want to try number 5, and then I'll let you guys try 4, 6, 7, and 8 on your own. So number 5, label the A, B, and the C. A times C goes at the top, so 1 times negative 24 is negative 24. B goes at the bottom, negative 10. Remember, your signs tell you something. That last sign is negative, so I know my signs are going to be different. One will be positive and one will be negative. That front sign tells me that the larger number has to be negative. So one will be positive and one will be negative. but the larger has to be negative. That's because when you add two numbers, if you're left with a negative number, then the larger number is negative. So thinking about what multiplies to give you negative 24, and my larger numbers are going to be negatives. So 24 is 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. From there, you want to see which ones add to give you a negative 10. The 2 plus negative 12 gives you a negative 10. So your 2 would go here, your 10 would go there, or excuse me, 12 would go there. And from that, that breaks it into your parentheses. What times what is k squared? Well, k times k. And then your factors are plus 2 and a minus 12. 4 and negative 6 would not work because those don't add to give you a negative 10. These add to give you a negative 2. So make sure you're paying attention closely to what you're trying to get to add to. So your answer would be k plus 2 and k minus 12. All right, you guys, I want you to try 4, 6, 7, and 8 on your own. Remember, your algebra review is going to be due the day before the test. Okay, make sure you show your work on each problem for full credit.